Yo, what's up guys? Chase Revelo. I'm pumped to come at you guys again with another dope video. In this one, we're gonna be breaking down some college tennis, Max Basing of Stanford versus Andy Nguyen of UC Irvine. I don't know how to pronounce that, Nguyen. I don't know how to fucking pronounce that, but we're gonna get straight into it. And yeah, guys, if you're not familiar with who I am, my name is Chase Revelo. I played D1 tennis and I coached at IMG Academy where I was mentored by Nick Bollettieri. And I was also mentored by Rick Macy when I was a director at the Rick Macy Tennis Academy. And yeah, I work with players such as Lulu Sun, who's currently about 40 in the world right now on the WTA Tour. So yeah, guys, subscribe to the channel if you're new here and let's get into it. Look at his crazy shoulder, elbow angle. Crazy shoulder, elbow angle. Your serve probably has your shoulders looking like this. Get it angled more up. Let's cross court. Let's cross again. Finds a forehand. Let's cross again. See what he doesn't do here. Maybe get into a little wider stance. Get this left foot farther away from your body. Will give you a little bit more leverage when you push from the ground to turn your hips a little faster as well. Notice on his serve how he prepares. He basically sets his arm on his serve. Look. Look, before he tosses, look. Look, he gets his elbow set at almost 90 degrees before he even tosses the ball. Right? So for a lot of players, when they're trying to figure out how can I improve my serve, one great method is set your elbow at 90 degrees because maybe you're not setting that checkpoint on your own when you do your full motion like this. And then once you're set at 90 degrees, then toss the ball so that you can just keep this still and then go up and have a more repeatable motion, right? Then you can build back in a more kind of larger take back, right? But even a player at this level, right, Max here, who plays for Stanford, starts his serve by setting his elbow up at the top here. So if you're looking to improve your serve and you're not consistently getting to a good kind of angle position here with your right elbow at 90 degrees, highly recommend abbreviating the swing. Notice though how he was trying to find his forehand there. That was a good move to try to find the forehand. And at the college tennis level, players are going to find their forehand on returns when possible. Good deep return. Ball's got to go across. Notice how his right hand, his right arm, his non-hitting arm is parallel, right? He's not pointing it down, he's not pointing it up, right? It's parallel, okay? You could argue maybe he could stay a little bit more turned, but his left arm, his left elbow's bent a little bit, his hitting elbow's bent, his racket stays on the hitting side, right? For him, it's his left side. And when he goes forward, he just goes forward from here. Right? He just goes forward from there. He's not taking the racket back over here behind the hitting side, which is what you see a lot of times on the WTA Tour, right? So if you're looking at trying to find like what the best technique is, oftentimes you're going to want to look on the men's side of the tour, okay? The women now are adapting and doing the better techniques, but it's still very prevalent on the women's side of the tour. So try to model your technique more so after the men. Okay, so he gets the short ball. Okay, can I hit a winner inside out here with the forehand? Can I do that? If I can, go for that. If not, go inside in and follow it into net. He goes inside in. It's a good shot there. Good decision to go cross. Down the line. Yep. Great out wide serve. Breaks the sideline within the service box here. Open stance. I like his adjustment steps after that serve. I don't like how he's bailing to the forehand slice on the run there. I don't like that. You can do that, but let's see how much time he had there. Look, you can do that if you just reach. My opinion is he could have totally just had the forehand grip, kept his right elbow up a little bit, do more of a throwing motion and like hit the forehand. And I think he was actually there. I don't think he had to slice that. You know, there's very little benefit there to slice that because look, even if you make that ball, you're giving the guy a short, easy ball that he'll be able to put away. So I think it's worth even if you think it's an extra risk to try to hit it with like topspin, it's worth it to go for that. Good out wide serve. The out wide serves should be the foundation of your game, guys. Good things happen with the out wide serves. Notice the short ball is giving the opponent the opportunity to take control. The one thing that you can change and start training is being able to keep consistent depth. If you're not training that with specific zones, you're fucking up right now. I like the open stance there. It's very good. That's why the guy can hit the ball back deep. He gets into the open stance. He can really push from the ground, and that's how you can have a consistent motion. I like ooh, change direction there. Interesting. Good open stance. That's a good example of when going body can pay off, right? If your opponent maybe doesn't have the best adjustment steps, right? Maybe you can surprise them and rip one straight to their body when they're on the run. It's going to make them have to take a lot of really fine steps that they're probably not going to do effectively, right? So if you're playing someone who's really good at moving left and right, maybe experiment with ripping some to their body. See how their adjustment steps are in more of a stationary environment. Wow. Look how much he pushes from the ground. You see how he's like jumping here? He's pushing from the ground so much when he's rotating as well that he elevates his body. So a lot of coaches don't really coach to push from the ground, which I think is a big mistake. You need to coach your players to push their legs into the ground to generate force from the ground. And then yes, make sure they're balanced, make sure they're doing it in a controlled way. But especially when they're developing, you want them to develop that explosiveness. You want them to develop that pop from the ground, right? So if your coaches aren't instructing you to push your legs from the ground, I highly recommend trying that on your ground strokes and do that as a way to initiate your stroke. Like before the racket starts to move, push your legs into the ground, then turn your hips, and then let the racket come more forward. Great depth. Notice he keeps the left hand on the racket until the ball bounces. Then he lets go of the racket and his left arm is parallel with the baseline. Are your coaches in your last private lesson, did they teach you to do that on your forehand? If not, in your next session, they got to work on that with you. Okay? Look at how much he's turned his shoulder blade. Look at his racket is on the right side of his body. Look at how his right elbow is a little bit more up than it is like way down, right? You could put a towel in his armpit right now. And notice when he's going to the ball, his right elbow becomes straight. His right arm goes from bent to straight. Are you doing that on your forehand? Does your right elbow go from more bent to more straight? That's something you can visually see in your footage. And if you want to master it the best way possible and get the most bang for your buck for your body, for your athleticism, you're going to want to get this elbow to be more straight. Okay, at contact. Good open stance there. So like what you can see with this kick serve is, look, this is a good kick serve, right? It's landing right here in the corner. It's really good. I would argue for any player, even at this level, you know, high level D1, whatever, if these guys can start to train the shorter targets here and prioritize that on the kick serve, these guys already have the power. They already really do have the feel. They just need to develop it with specific intention on their targets. So my recommendation for these guys is to start training their targets a little shorter and be more picky about that for their kick serve, because it's a big difference in terms of the result. And that's one reason why, like when I was a director at the Rick Macy Tennis Academy and I would play sets and even coach Lulu's son, I would literally ace her with my kick serve, you know? And at that time, I was like about like a 10 something UTR on paper, and definitely playing like, well, like she was an 11 UTR and I was beating her. So that just goes to show that with specific targets on the kick serve, you can really kind of max out your potential with your athleticism. And it's just something that I've seen with every player I apply that with. It helps them gain control over rallies way quicker. So if you haven't tried that, I highly recommend giving that a go. And ask your coaches about it too. See what they think. Great slice serve there. Broke the sideline within the service box. Really good. I really like how on his forehand he gets this full leverage from his arm on his forehand. Notice how he decides to go open stance here. In this scenario, in your last match, would you have gone open stance here? Maybe yes, but maybe not. Take a look. Take a look. That was a good pickup. Look at this pickup on the backhand. Look how abbreviated it is. Look, you see that? He hits it to his backhand. He just turns, gets his racket all the way back, gets his elbows almost fully straight pointing the tip of the racket to the back fence. So that all he has to do is when he tells his brain, I'm going to go forward to the ball, now I can just pull the trigger and go from back to front. I can just go from turn to go forward, right? What most people do is the ball bounces and then they have to go, oh, I want to hit. Now I have to go back and now I have to go forward. That's called shitty timing. That's called you're not going to make the ball. Improve your timing, take the racket back earlier, get your racket set. Look, very picky here. I'm being very picky, but the best error there is not missing it down the middle long. The best error, if you're going to miss there, is missing it more this way. Because at least there, you attempted to go for the distance that's longer, right? And I would have wanted him to kind of try to rip it, not so high over the net, but kind of drive through it a little bit more. Like, let's see, look. So he goes there, his opponent goes line. So it's on the run forehand. Here, this is a textbook example actually of how to go from defense to offense. He should go here, open stance, rip a flat, relatively flat forehand on the run. This is a difficult shot, but you can train it. And you can improve it pretty quickly actually if you're at this level. And rip a flatter forehand on the run and literally try to almost go for a winner over here, right? This way. It should be a winner based on positioning of your opponent, but he should go a little flatter, lower over the net, and try to do damage here, right? This is the opportunity to do damage. Even though he missed that ball, let's say he made that shot. What's the intention? Are you hitting a winner off of it? Are you taking control over the point? Maybe if you hit it deep and it lands on the baseline, like it does a little damage, but it's down the middle, so you're not really doing anything there. So I would argue you got to on the forehand on the run there. If you want to go from defense to offense, go for that flatter, lower over the net ball. And if anything, miss it a little bit long in this corner direction. Okay? Maybe even a little wide. But you don't want it to be middle. That would be kind of the worst error there. Yep. He should have come into net there. Why is he not at the net? Why is he not at the net? Okay, he hit a winner. Unreturned at least. But still, think about it, right? It's like you should hit that and you got to come into net. Because what if the opponent got that back? You would have been toast. I'm curious your guys' thoughts. I think this guy here, Max, would have a better serve if he switched or at least experimented with either a pinpoint or a more narrow platform. Notice when he tosses and when he's going up, he hits a really good serve, right? He's got a good serve. But you can see how all of his weight is on his left leg here. Right? It's not necessarily a bad thing, and wow, this is really textbook pronation here from the upper body component. This is like really, really high level shit here. But I think for his size and for like his mechanics, I would, if I was his coach, I would experiment with that and see if his serve is maybe a bottleneck. If his serve is doing its job and he's winning everything and all that, cool, maybe don't touch it, right? But in the off season, maybe experiment with that. I'd be very curious to see the results there, because it just looks like his body could be more athletic from the lower body on his serve, in my opinion.
I got this wow skin from Olay Body Wash. Its new super serum sinks into my skin with...
Okay, so this guy just fucked up here. Look, he gets the short ball, okay? Look, this is an approach shot because he's coming into net. So if I'm hitting an approach shot, I'm going to make a decision. Can I hit a winner cross court or do insane amount of damage? But basically it's, can I hit a winner cross court? If yes, I'm going cross court. If not, I'm going down the line. So unless he's going drop shot cross court here for a winner, you got to go backhand down the line, slice here and approach. So he goes cross here. His opponent can burn him down the line here, maybe even lob him. He missed that shot. However, that's nothing to do with this guy Andy here doing something good. That has to do with the guy Max fucking up, doing the wrong strategy, because he won that point, Andy won that point, doing the wrong thing in my opinion. So that's where it's like, good, I won the point, but pay attention. Like, think about it. You're not making a move, right? If I'm a Max, I would go into an open stance here, get my body weight going forward, and rip down the line. That's what I would do. And even if you go close stance, you still got to rip down the line. This is such an error to go cross court here. Such an error. You know, it's such an error in my opinion, at least, unless you go lob. But yeah, so think about that. He should have gone line there. So also on his approach, on Andy's approach, he should have gone down the line on that slice. Great out wide serve there. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Like, dude, I want to see Max hitting those targets like Andy's hitting. Because isn't like Max taller? Isn't Max bigger? So like he should be the one who's able to hit those targets even better, in my opinion. I don't know. They could be the same size. Again. So look, this is like it's like he doesn't really know the strategy of like what to do in these scenarios, right? So here he goes, swing volley. Notice how he hit the swing volley. Andy hit the swing volley at chest and shoulder height. Okay? He came in. Now, in this scenario, Max should pass him down the line. Max should pass him down the line. Notice, he just made that same mistake on the point before, or the one before that, right? So that's a theme. That's a theme. It's like he doesn't know where to go in those scenarios. Again, look, this is why training your targets is so important on the on your serves, and training the right targets. That breaks the sideline in the service box and goes out in this direction. You guys can hit that serve, especially like if you're his opponent, if you're Max, realize like you can also hit that. You see, look, with Max's serves, they're good, but they're always going down the middle here. They're always going down the middle, basically, right? Like, that's an out wide serve for like a very low level player. But for a high level player, top D1, dude, you got to be able to break the sideline in the service box. You know, so it kind of shocks me when I see players like at this level and they're not training that. It kind of shocks me, bro. Yeah. Also, if I'm Max's coach, this guy's got to do 1,000 jump rope every single day for the next 6 months and see what happens. Again, like a good kick serve, but like it's just going straight down the middle. Okay. It's a good serve. Again, good body kick serve, but it's like you can do more with that, bro. You got to make him pay by going forehand on the run cross court. Like, that's too middle, bro. Yeah, like he won that point, but that's just an error of this guy not being able to move and do his adjustment steps, right? So, I mean, it worked, but not necessarily something good that he did. Good decision to go cross. See, I don't like that though. Like that decision to just go to the forehand, bail, and just hit it with the one hand. I don't like that with the slice. So notice there, look, he gets the short ball. Here, can I hit a winner cross court? Yes or no? Remember in the last scenario, I said if you can hit a drop shot cross court for a winner, you can go for that. If not, you got to slice it down the line and come into net. Because if he goes slice cross court, he's not going to hit a winner. So that's why he has to go drop shot. And notice how I mentioned that earlier in the video. Great decision there. Notice he went for the drop shot when he had all the options on the menu. And then he cooked his opponent. Good open stance. All I'm saying is Andy over here tends to go into open stance more often than closed stance from what I'm seeing. Max sometimes does that, but I notice a little bit of a difference in utilization of open stance. Not saying it's why Andy's up, but it maybe is one reason that could be contributing to this. Okay, if you're Andy, can I hit a winner inside out here? You probably can. So maybe you go for that. If there's any doubt though, if I'm doubting it, I'm going inside in and I'm coming into net. I think in this scenario, he can do this because his opponent's way over here. And I would bet on Andy in this scenario that he could hit a winner inside out here. Let's see though. Alright guys, well that's it for this video. If you got any value out of this video, drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.